Okay, so first week of my things in DH 1003, and I'm recording this ahead of time. I'm going to put it up so that you can see the shape of what's coming at you, um, and you'll get a feel for the sort of workflow and process. Although obviously you have to deal with the work that Dr. Maureen McCarran deals with in the research questions topic before you come to this, but this video will be put in here in the locate and evaluate sources section. Um, and what's here is there's a discussion prompt and there's some readings. And basically the discussion prompt echoes what I'm going to tell you here, which is that there's three things I want you to do. Can I manage three? I can manage three, right? I can count. I want you to make a few notes about how you search for stuff on the internet. I know you know how to do it, but I want you to actually write it down. A couple of bullet points on a piece of paper. I want you to commit to putting that on paper and nailing it down and making what you do explicit, right? And make it clear for yourself. You're going to need that. You can put it in, draft it as a document if you want to. You will be using it in the discussion. And then I want you to read at least the first of these readings, and you can certainly have a look to some of the others if you want to. These are studies about how college undergraduates do research. So these are formal, organized research studies. The 2013 study from Project Information Literacy, it's a very important research project in America, it's done wonderful things, was done for the American Congress of Academic Libraries to investigate how do first-year undergraduates use internet tools to search for stuff. They thought it would be a good idea to find out. So as you read that, make some notes, highlight a few things, scribble down things where you find that there is a match between what you do and what they found, or where there is a difference. If there is a difference, why is there a difference? Why do you think your process is different to theirs? Is it because we're in a different cultural context? Is it because that was 2013 and this is 2020 and things move really fast? Is it because of the differences in education system that shape how we search for stuff? Whatever. And there's no right and wrong answers here. There's no one truth in this because it's about where you are and how you do research. So when you've read that, the second one builds on the same sort of topic. The third one goes ahead to research evaluation. Put all those together in a forum post, right? Typical, go in here into the forum thread. Let's get this up. Okay, so there's a discussion prompt saying pretty much what I'm saying now. And you just click the write a reply button. Don't forget to hit the submit button on the bottom. So let me just do this to show you, right? Post reply, there you go. Normal, straightforward discussion box. Please remember to hit the post reply. Okay? 200 words, 250. Keep this short. Get it done by Friday. Why is that? Because over the weekend, I want you to read what everybody's posted and try and draw things together and see where there's threads of commonality and where there's clumps of difference. And I want you to make a post, reply to somebody else's post. Think about how you work this as a discussion. So you might say that there's sort of three different people have said something that's very similar, and you might reply to one of them and say, that's very like what Tom and Pat and Harry and Mary said, and they all come together and there's a similarity here with this, but that's different to what somebody else said. Again, there's no right answers. We're playing a discussion game here, okay? And the object is to play the game, right? And get a feel for how you can have a discussion about this. And we're going to be doing this every week. It's going to be more complicated, right? The stuff that we're going to be doing will have more bite in it as we get on with it. But what we're doing here is starting from where you are in terms of how you search for stuff, and that's important. That we know what our starting point, what your starting point is, not my starting point, because your starting point changes from year to year as people develop new search skills. There's no point in me telling you where you are. We need to capture where you are now. And then by the end of the process, we will have advanced those skills. So you will be able to look back at the end of the module at where you were at the beginning and be able to identify the ways in which you've learned new skills. Okay? So it's a process. Part of the process, there's another link here. I didn't talk about it in the discussion prompt. But I'm going to come back to this a couple of times because there is a model. This is a website from Canada. This is one of a number of places where they've done a lot of research into how do online discussions work. How do you build online communities? It's called the Community of Inquiry Framework. I like it because it's elegant and it's simple. Theories that are simple and elegant are good and useful. Theories that are too complicated, not so much use. So they talk about the different presences and the ways in which we build up to an educational experience. But they also have a model for discussion, right? And the model which they have for discussion, it all goes back to that paper from about 2000, 20 years ago, although in fact this trend of exploration goes back to the 1990s. They have a model for how a discussion works. Okay, and that model, what happens in a discussion? They say there's 4 phases. There's a trigger, which in this case, I'm the trigger. I'm providing the discussion prompt, right? There's an exploration. Let me go back and look at this again. Let's look at this discussion prompt. This is the trigger. There's an exploration. I'm asking you to explore where you are and some readings and match them up together. Let's have a rummage around the topic. Let's dig in the box of this article and see what comes out. Right? So trigger, exploration. Then there's integration, which is where we try and put stuff together, which is the second posting in the forum most weeks, where we try and find the common threads and make some general observations. Right? And then there's the resolution. That's the 4th part of the community inquiry model, where somebody ties all this together. And we either come up with an answer if we started with a question. Sometimes we come up with the next question, or the next step in the process. So I like the community of inquiry because it's easy to remember. Trigger, exploration, integration, resolution, tier. And that's how a lot of discussions move. People come up with the problem, they rummage around, they hash out some answers, they sit down, they put it together, they've done the brainstorming, they pull things together, they come up with an answer, hopefully. Sometimes the answer is the next question. We're going to go through that cycle. That's how we're going to process. You're going to become more and more practiced at conducting online discussions because, of course, one of the professional skills that you're going to need, and that's going to be really important, with so many people learning and working from home now, is the ability to guide those discussions. So instead of just giving you an article saying, this is how discussions work, read it, learn it off, and you'll know it, we're actually going to walk the walk every step of the way, so that you internalize this and understand how we play the online discussion game so you can take that skill out with you and use it. So hence, I've put the link there and I'll come back and I'll look at the community of inquiry in more detail, but I want you to understand right up front, this is how we're working, this is why we're working this way, this is the theory that's behind it. There's research to support this. And we'll look at some more of it in some more detail as we go along through the process of what we're doing. Of course, once we go from the first question, how do we search? The next question, which will come out of this, is how do we evaluate? And I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything away too much when I say that every year, when in this first discussion, where people are looking at how we search, the question, well, how do we evaluate what we found, just kind of emerges naturally. There's a logic there, which we will tie together at the end, and that will allow us to move together onto then the evaluation, which is going to be a little harder and somewhat more challenging, don't worry. So First week you will have done, depending on when you watch this video, you may watch it several times, the research questions material with Dr. McCarran. Second week we will start looking at how we search and how we locate sources, and then move on to taking those sources apart and understanding the arguments in them in more detail. So, there we go. The sun's come out. This is a good sign.